first, scandal sent shockwaves through lives that once seemed picture perfect, with whispers growing into news that dominated headlines. Suddenly, the stars who once owned red carpets were facing legal troubles, sometimes even winding up behind bars or forced into hiding by controversies they couldn't escape. Meanwhile, some disappeared after spiraling into addiction or personal crises that took away everything they had worked for. Next, career missteps or bitter disputes with powerful studios left others quietly sidelined, contracts shredded, and calls never returned. In a few heartbreaking cases, tragic accidents took loved ones and left these celebrities unable to return to public life. As the spotlight faded, others sought comfort in distant places, leaving behind their fame for quiet anonymity and a life far from cameras. Throughout it all, rumors swirled about secret struggles, lost fortunes, and the high cost of chasing dreams in a world where privacy is a rare luxury. Once a household name, Kevin Spacey became one of the most recognized actors in Hollywood after his unforgettable performances in movies like American Beauty and The Usual Suspects. He won awards, was celebrated for his talent and versatility, and was chosen for major roles because of his commanding presence on screen. After years of being in the spotlight, his career took a sharp and sudden turn in 2017. That year, actor Anthony Rapp accused Spacey of making unwanted sexual advances when Rapp was just 14 years old. That accusation opened the door for more people to step forward, sharing accounts of similar behavior going back decades. The fallout was immense and immediate. Spacey's reputation was severely damaged, and the scandal had real consequences for his career. He was fired from his starring role as Frank Underwood on the popular series House of Cards, and projects he was involved with were quickly canceled or recast. People he had worked with in Hollywood and beyond separated themselves from him. Legal actions followed, with some of those accusing Spacey of misconduct turning to civil courts to seek action against him. As a result of the allegations and the public response, Spacey stepped back from acting and public life, choosing to keep a low profile. His attempts at returning to the spotlight, such as posting a controversial video on YouTube where he spoke in character as Frank Underwood, did not restore his standing and only added to the controversy. Since those events, Spacey has rarely appeared in public and has not returned to major film or television roles. After gaining fame with unforgettable roles in films like The Shining and Popeye, Shelley Duvall quickly became a standout in Hollywood for her one-of-a-kind charm and deeply emotional performances. Audiences were captivated by her work on screen, yet behind the scenes, Duvall was navigating her own personal hardships. Over time, she found herself struggling with mental health issues that went far beyond the spotlight. Reports revealed that she battled anxiety and even conditions like schizophrenia, which slowly made it more and more difficult for her to continue with her film career. This struggle became painfully clear in 2016 when Duvall appeared on the Dr. Phil show. Viewers were stunned and worried as she shared stories about her traumatic experiences in the movie industry and displayed behavior that was clearly out of the ordinary. This public appearance prompted a wave of concern from fans and fellow actors alike, who questioned how a woman once so full of life and talent could fall so far from the world she once dominated. Since that time, Duvall has chosen to step away from public life, living quietly and avoiding the glitz and chaos of Hollywood. She rarely speaks to the media and avoids gatherings where celebrities typically make appearances. Her story is a powerful example of how the pressure and constant demands of show business can take a toll on even the brightest stars, especially when mental health is at stake. Although she has faded from the public eye, the characters and performances she created are still remembered with admiration. Interestingly, while she once dominated the world of movies with amazing performances in films like Girl, Interrupted, and Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Angelina Jolie's appearances in Hollywood have become much less common. Her name was everywhere for years, whether it was the art she created on screen or the major headlines about her personal life. One of the most talked about events was her relationship with Brad Pitt. This famous couple, often called Brangelina by fans and the press, captivated millions with their romance, which started when they worked together on the movie Mr. and Mistress Smith. Their story, however, took many turns. There were many rumors about cheating, and when they finally ended things, the split was all over the news. The constant attention from reporters and the public made life even more challenging, especially with their long custody battle. These problems seemed to pull her away from acting and more into her private life. Even so, Jolie didn't completely leave the spotlight. She started directing films such as In the Land of Blood and Honey and Unbroken, This showed everyone she could shine behind the camera too. Outside of movies, she became deeply involved in humanitarian work, especially with her efforts as a special envoy for the United Nations Refugee Agency. Her dedication to helping others made people admire her even more. While she isn't seen on the big screen as often anymore, her influence goes far beyond acting, since she has become a powerful voice for people in need, and shown her talents in many different areas. Once, Amanda Bynes appeared everywhere on television, making people laugh with her roles on Nickelodeon. Her talent and energy in shows like All That and The Amanda Show made her stand out among young stars. As she grew older, life in the spotlight grew more complicated. Like many child actors, Amanda faced private challenges that soon became very public. In 2012, her struggles spilled onto social media, where she made a number of controversial posts directed at other celebrities, including tweets about Drake, Rihanna, Miley Cyrus, and Jay-Z. These outbursts drew attention but also highlighted deeper issues. The situation became more serious when she was involved in an incident where she set fire to a driveway with her own clothes, causing concern for her well-being and leading to a mental health evaluation. She was eventually diagnosed with bipolar disorder and admitted to a psychiatric facility in 2013. That year, her parents were granted a conservatorship, which meant they oversaw her medical care and finances. During this time, Amanda decided to step back from acting, announcing her retirement on Twitter and sharing her intentions to move into fashion, enrolling in the Los Angeles Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. Years passed with Amanda mostly out of public view. In 2022, she was judged stable enough to have her conservatorship ended, a decision her parents agreed with, as they believed she could manage on her own. However, challenges remained. Later that year, Amanda herself contacted police for psychiatric help, recognizing she still needed support. Since that time, she has focused on her mental health in an inpatient facility, working on her recovery and personal growth. Her life has taken many turns, and while no one knows what the future holds, she continues her efforts away from the cameras. Once a star admired in millions of living rooms, and the highest paid actor on television, Charlie Sheen's story is marked by a dramatic fall from grace. His legendary run on 2.5 Men brought him immense fame, but a storm of controversy soon followed. A troubled journey full of well-known incidents unraveled in front of the cameras, public battles with substance abuse, wild outbursts, and the kind of behavior that transformed his personal catchphrases like winning and tiger blood into pop culture buzzwords. On the surface, Sheen's confident, wild antics were everywhere, but underneath there was much more pain and chaos. In 2011, everything changed when he was fired from 2.5 Men after a string of public insults aimed at the show's creator, Chuck Lorre. This break marked a steep decline in his career, and the world watched as Sheen's struggles unfolded in headlines and interviews. His health sparked new concerns several years later when, in 2015, he announced that he was HIV positive. This revelation created fresh news coverage and discussions around HIV and AIDS, shedding light both on the disease and on the often messy backstory of Sheen's life. Since parting ways with his hit sitcom, acting jobs dried up, and his professional output shrank to only a handful of small, forgotten projects. Still, Sheen kept making news through legal troubles, rocky romantic affairs, and his continued fight with addiction. Even now, the imprint he left on movies like Platoon and Wall Street, as well as his unforgettable presence in television, haven't faded from memory. His story is a reminder that success on screen can hide desperate battles behind the scenes, and that the biggest challenge can sometimes be facing your own demons. Suddenly, Felicity Huffman's life changed in ways nobody expected. She had been a household name as Lynette Scavo on Desperate Housewives, where her performances won hearts and brought her praise all around. Fans assumed she would keep shining in movies and TV shows. But in 2019, her name surged to the front pages for reasons no celebrity ever wants. She wasn't stepping into a new acting project, but instead found herself caught up in a real-life scandal. Felicity became one of the main figures in the college admission scandal, a massive scheme called Operation Varsity Blues that pulled back the curtain on dishonest ways some families tried to get their children into top colleges. Charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud, Huffman admitted to paying $15,000 to have her daughter's SAT scores changed. The confession was shocking. The public, once so supportive, voiced anger and disappointment. Even after her efforts to soften the fallout, she finally accepted full responsibility and faced the consequences directly. The The price she paid: 14 days in prison, a $30,000 fine, 250 hours of community service, and a year under supervision, felt much higher than anyone imagined she would ever pay for her child's future. Once the dust settled, Felicity stepped away from the spotlight, focusing on family life and moving quietly outside Hollywood. Her story quickly became a reminder that fame or money cannot erase mistakes or protect anyone from facing hard truths. Meanwhile, as the world watched other stars come and go, few people left Hollywood as quietly as Bridget Fonda. Her name instantly brings to mind standout films like Single White Female, where she captured audiences with her powerful performance. She was born into a family already famous in Hollywood, being the daughter of Peter Fonda and the niece of Jane Fonda. Growing up surrounded by stardom did not seem to faze her, and she quickly earned her place on the big screen with her talent and charm. Over the years, Bridget Fonda showed an incredible range, moving from suspenseful thrillers like Single White Female to action movies such as Point of No Return. Audiences and critics alike admired how she transformed herself for each role, always bringing something different and special to every performance. Yet, just as her career was shining, she stepped back and made a decision that surprised many people. In the early 2000s, Fonda decided to leave acting behind. She chose to step away from fame and instead focus on her own happiness and peace. When she married Danny Elfman, a composer and former member of the band Oingo Boingo, in 2003, her life began to move in a different direction. The couple welcomed a son in 2005, and Fonda found contentment in her roles as wife and mother. She became devoted to her family, rarely appearing in public, and keeping her private life away from the news. Unlike many other actors, she has not returned to Hollywood for new roles or interviews. Instead, Fonda has kept a low profile, making it clear that for her, happiness did not mean living in the spotlight. Her absence from screens and red carpets is so complete that fans often wonder what she is doing now. The mystery surrounding Bridget Fonda only adds to her legend. While many stars are eager to hold on to their fame, Fonda is proof that walking away can be just as memorable. Instead of chasing roles, she found satisfaction in family life, proving you do not need to be in movies to live a great story. Once celebrated for his unforgettable role as Lando Calrissian in the Star Wars movies, Billy D. Williams made a lasting impression on fans and moviegoers alike. Known as much for his elegant cape as his charming smile, he captured the public's attention with his calm confidence and smooth talking style, becoming almost inseparable from the character he played. Over time, Williams became one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, but the heights of fame did not shield him from the struggles that followed. In the 1980s, he faced personal battles that included addiction, leading him to seek treatment and step away from the constant demands of Hollywood life. As he prioritized his health and well-being, his on-screen appearances grew less frequent. Although Williams continued to take on roles here and there, his era as a leading man slowly faded, replaced by quieter moments focused on recovery and self-care. Eventually, he stepped further back from the spotlight, choosing a more peaceful, private existence rather than chasing celebrity status. These days, Williams might still show up at fan conventions, where his presence brings back memories of his golden Hollywood days, but his focus remains on living a life removed from the intense public gaze. Leaving his legacy on the big screen, he now enjoys the calm away from fame, content with the chapters he has already written in entertainment history. After starring in popular movies such as Spider-Man and Eat, Pray, Love, James Franco quickly became a household name and Hollywood heartthrob. However, his fame took a drastic turn after a series of serious allegations. In 2014, he landed in the middle of controversy when he was exposed for taking a selfie with a 17-year-old girl and allegedly trying to arrange a secret hotel meeting with her. While Franco defended himself during an interview on Howard Stern's show and claimed he behaved like a gentleman, public trust started to shrink. Things only grew worse in 2018 when actress Ali Sheedy implied that Franco was involved in inappropriate behavior, fueling more suspicions. Around the same time, Violet Pally, another actress, tweeted about a disturbing assault scenario tied to Franco. These accusations led more people to speak out, and former students at Franco's own Studio 4 film school, including Sarah Tither Kaplan, came forward to accuse him of sexual misconduct. Hollywood moved fast. Franco was dropped from several major projects, and his career seemed to hit a sudden low point. Even his longtime creative partner Seth Rogen publicly distanced himself, which was a clear signal to the industry that the situation was serious. Even though Franco denied many claims and eventually reached a private settlement with some accusers in February 2021. The damage to his reputation seemed permanent. He went from being an in-demand actor to rarely appearing in any new projects, and his name became a cautionary tale in Hollywood circles. Once celebrated as a star in the culinary world, Paula Deen found herself at the center of a dramatic controversy that changed everything. Known for her Southern cooking, charm, and easygoing attitude, she built a massive following through her television shows, best-selling cookbooks, and successful restaurants. People everywhere tried her recipes for comfort foods like fried chicken and sweet desserts, making her one of the most recognizable faces on TV. However, her reputation took a sharp turn in 2013 when details surfaced that she had admitted to using racial slurs in the past. The news led to an explosion of criticism across the country and beyond, causing a tidal wave effect in her professional life. Major business partners, including the Food Network, Walmart, and Smithfield Foods, quickly cut all ties with her, pulling her products off shelves, canceling shows, and suspending existing deals. This swift backlash reportedly cost her millions of dollars and resulted in the disappearance of her presence from mainstream media almost overnight. Despite Paula Deen's best efforts to repair her image with public apologies and pledges to learn from her mistakes, audiences and brands were slow to forgive. Opportunities all but vanished, and her empire, once so robust, shrank to only a fraction of what it had been. Over time, she retreated from the limelight and focused on smaller projects, stepping away from national television to limit her public exposure. Her story remains a strong example of how quickly fame can disappear and just how fragile a public image can be in the face of controversy. After years of fame and success, Mel Gibson's career took a sudden downturn that shocked fans everywhere. Once celebrated for his roles in blockbuster films and widely seen as one of Hollywood's leading men, Gibson's reputation suffered after a series of widely reported incidents and controversial remarks, many of which were described as abusive and anti-Semitic. The film industry responded quickly, distancing itself from him. One clear example was when the sequel to Chicken Run chose not to invite him back, a direct result of ongoing issues with his reputation. Actress Winona Ryder revealed that Gibson had made derogatory remarks toward her as far back as 1995, adding fuel to the fire and further darkening his image in the public eye. Some of Gibson's films even faced backlash for content perceived as anti-Semitic, making his return to Hollywood's top tier even less likely. In 2010, news broke about a harsh voicemail Gibson had left for his ex-partner Oksana Grigorieva, which only deepened the controversy around him. This caused his talent agency, William Morris Endeavor, to cut professional ties. The setbacks didn't end there. In a 2015 interview, Gibson minimized the impact of the Holocaust, causing more public outrage. Even when he attempted a comeback with the movie Hacksaw Ridge in 2016, allegations of his past comments resurfaced and served as a strong reminder of his troubled public image. Although Gibson had undeniable talent and some of his work had been highly acclaimed, his repeated scandals prevented him from regaining his place in Hollywood and kept him away from the kind of stardom he once knew. After winning over so many fans with her lovable roles in romantic comedies like When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle, Meg Ryan was everywhere in the 1990s. Her smile, her easy charm, and the believable way she played regular women captured hearts across America. Yet as the years went by, her face started appearing less on movie posters and more in stories about her private life. One major reason for this change was her feeling trapped by the limited movie roles Hollywood offered to women, especially as they grew older. She spoke openly about her frustration, deciding that if the stories weren't there for her, she would step away and direct films herself. In 2015, she released her first movie as a director, showing a new side to her talents. On top of her professional challenges, she faced personal ones as well, especially the very public divorce from Dennis Quaid in 2001. The constant attention from the press during that time made her want even more distance from Hollywood's spotlight. Since then, she's mostly stayed out of the public eye, choosing a quieter life and only occasionally appearing in films or television. Even though she is no longer in the center of the movie business, she is still remembered with lots of affection, especially by those who love romantic comedies from the 1990s. Over the years, Monique has built a reputation as one of the most talented and bold comedians in the entertainment industry. Early in her career, she won audiences over with her unique sense of humor and with powerful acting, especially in the 2009 drama Precious, where her unforgettable performance earned her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. After reaching such heights, many expected her career would soar, but things developed very differently. Although she was hailed for her skill, she soon found herself at odds with Hollywood power players, not because of her talent, but because of her willingness to speak honestly about issues many avoided. She began openly discussing the severe lack of diversity in the film industry, pointing out how often black women like herself were paid less than their counterparts for the same work. Monique made it clear she would not accept unfair treatment, and this attitude set her apart, but also set her on a collision course with those running the industry. Her refusal to simply play along with Hollywood's expectations, especially after winning such a prestigious award, surprised many and angered some. She also encountered difficulties because of strained relationships with directors and producers. These disagreements, fueled by her outspokenness and unwillingness to compromise, led many insiders to keep their distance. As a result, job offers for major roles slowed and eventually dried up, leaving her sidelined. Even though her talent was never in doubt, her career faltered because she chose to stand by her values instead of keeping quiet. Since her departure from mainstream Hollywood, Monique has focused on her stand-up comedy roots and dedicated herself to advocacy work. She uses her platform to talk about pay equality, the right to fair treatment, and the need for more opportunities for black women in the performing arts. Her voice remains strong as she continues to challenge unfair industry practices and pushes for lasting change, even if it has cost her the chance to appear in major Hollywood productions. Interestingly, after building a reputation in Hollywood with his tough guy roles and unforgettable energy, Joe Pesci decided to slow down his acting career during the late 1990s. Even after winning an Oscar for his gritty performance in Goodfellas, he began turning down more scripts. He became extremely picky about what he wanted to work on, choosing quality over quantity. Many fans wondered where he went, but Pesci's focus had shifted. He wanted time for things outside of movies, especially his love for music. A little-known fact is that Pesci is not only an actor but a talented musician as well. He even released an album called Vincent LaGuardia Gambini Sings Just For You, where he showed off his singing abilities. As years passed, another challenge for Pesci was finding good roles that matched his earlier successes. Directors often wanted him to play the same explosive, tough characters he was famous for, which limited the parts he was offered. Even though people didn't see him on the big screen as much, Pesci made a rare but powerful appearance in 2019 with his role in Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. There, he played mobster Russell Bufalino, and once again impressed critics and fans with his strong performance. Pesci is still remembered as one of the most memorable actors in Hollywood, even though he does not appear in films as often as he once did. Once, Linda Fiorentino was everywhere you looked, turning heads with her sharp presence and a voice you instantly recognized. She made her mark in films like The Last Seduction and Men in Black, pulling viewers in with her dramatic power and mysterious aura. Her work brought plenty of buzz, and for a while, it seemed no one could overlook her talent. But as quickly as she rose, she disappeared just as fast. Rumors followed her reputation, with whispers spreading in Hollywood about her being tough to work with. Tales of on-set disagreements with directors and actors started to cloud her image, and as the stories grew, opportunities shrank. The doors that opened so easily before began to close, and scripts stopped landing on her doorstep. On top of her work struggles, her personal life became tabloid fodder. Her high-profile split from director John Bynes splashed across headlines, and all the attention and drama that surrounded their divorce seemed to add even more stress. The glare of public scrutiny, mixed with strained relationships in the industry, pushed her further from the spotlight. Since stepping away, Fiorentino chose to keep her life private, staying out of the spotlight and away from public appearances. No one can say for sure what she is doing, whether she is enjoying peace far from Hollywood or thinking about a comeback. Even so, her earlier roles left a strong memory for those who enjoyed her work. She became one of those stars whose sudden exit carries a mix of curiosity and nostalgia, with fans still wondering if they will ever see that captivating screen presence return. Meanwhile, Hollywood audiences remember the meteoric rise of Katherine Heigl, who charmed millions with her portrayal of Dr. Izzy Stevens on Grey's Anatomy. Her performance did not go unnoticed, as it brought her both critical acclaim and a prestigious Primetime Emmy Award. In those early days, Heigl's career seemed unstoppable, and many believed she was set for a lifetime of high-profile roles on television and the big screen. However, things changed suddenly. Catherine's outspoken nature, and willingness to criticize her own projects quickly placed her in the spotlight for reasons that weren't always positive. She made waves when she took the rare step of pulling her name from Emmy consideration for Grey's Anatomy in 2008, openly saying she didn't believe the writing was strong enough, and that her fellow cast members deserved the honor more. This blunt move surprised many, but it also caused friction with both the producers and her co-workers. Stories began to circulate about her being challenging and demanding during productions, and soon these rumors started overshadowing her talent. Even though Catherine showed great acting skills and had a unique spark, these negative perceptions began to follow her. Casting directors hesitated to offer her major roles, fearing on-set difficulties or public controversy. As a result, Catherine found herself pushed away from the leading roles she once received so easily, and her presence in blockbuster films and top shows faded. These days, Katherine Heigl maintains a much lower profile, choosing to focus on her family and personal life rather than pursuing Hollywood stardom. Still, her time in the spotlight left a mark, showing that great talent and honesty can sometimes be a double-edged sword for actors in a highly competitive industry. After a single tweet, Roseanne Barr experienced a dramatic fall from grace that shocked many. Known for her sharp wit and groundbreaking work on her sitcom Roseanne, she had recently returned to the spotlight thanks to the successful reboot of her show, which drew impressive ratings and brought in substantial advertising revenue for ABC. However, things changed overnight when she posted a racially charged tweet about Valerie Jarrett, a senior advisor to former President Barack Obama. Roseanne's words were instantly condemned as offensive and inappropriate, causing widespread outrage throughout the entertainment industry and beyond. The public and media reacted swiftly, and the backlash was immediate and intense. ABC moved quickly to cancel the reboot, a surprising decision given the financial windfall the show promised. For a while, Roseanne tried to explain her tweet, at first saying that she was under the influence of the sedative Ambien, but later she walked this back, acknowledging the seriousness of her actions. Still, the reaction did not soften. Her co-star Sarah Gilbert publicly criticized her, further distance was created, and Barr's standing in Hollywood vanished almost instantly. At this point, apologies and explanations could not undo the damage, and her reputation was left in ruins. The incident became a cautionary tale about how a single moment on social media can erase years of hard work, and Roseanne Barr quickly all but vanished from the public eye, becoming one of the most infamous examples of a career ruined by a tweet. After the lights dimmed on her role in Two Broke Girls, fans noticed Kat Dennings seemed to vanish from Hollywood's bustling scene. In her 6 years as Max, she won viewers with her sharp sense of humor and charm, becoming a familiar face in millions of homes. Yet, after this wave of popularity, Dennings didn't rush into the next big project. The answer might lie in the show's financial rewards. Two Broke Girls was not only beloved by fans, it became a financial powerhouse, landing a syndication deal with each episode fetching an astounding $1.7 million for reruns. Dennings, as the lead, reportedly enjoyed not only her regular pay, but also financial benefits from syndication, making her less reliant on jumping into another show or movie right away. With steady income and lasting fame, she stepped away from the constant pressure of Hollywood hustle. Still, a spark of a comeback glimmered when Dennings took the lead in Dollface, a Hulu series that explores life after heartbreak and the effort to rebuild friendships. The series, crafted with help from top producers and featuring a storyline about second chances, set the stage for Dennings to possibly recapture some of her former television presence. At first, Rick Moranis lit up movie screens in the 1980s and 1990s with his blend of gentle humor and everyday charm, starring in favorites like Ghostbusters and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. With his glasses, quirky roles, and lovable performances, he became a household name, drawing fans from all ages. Audiences everywhere were smitten by his impeccable comedic timing, and he seemed destined for a long, high-profile career. Yet, just as his success peaked, Rick Moranis quietly stepped away from acting in the mid-1990s, slipping out of sight, and leaving many to wonder why one of comedy's brightest stars walked away. After his wife Anne died of cancer in 1991, Moranis made a life-changing decision. He became a single parent, determined to raise his 2 children himself, choosing family over fame without hesitation. Work in Hollywood could wait, but his kids' well-being could not. While his absence left a hole in light-hearted family entertainment, Moranis's actions resonated with those who admired his devotion. Since then, glimpses of Moranis have been rare. He spent most of his years focused on family and private interests, appearing only occasionally and avoiding the buzz of the spotlight he once loved. As a result, countless fans still remember his warmth on screen, but haven't seen him or his trademark wit in years, not knowing if or when he might